What does it really take to become the greatest football player of all time? Is it talent, luck, or an unbreakable mindset? Today, we're diving into the complete journey of Lionel Messi from a little boy in Rosario, Argentina, to a football legend who inspired billions around the world. We'll uncover his struggles, his greatest achievements, his unforgettable records, his World Cup dream, and the legacy he continues to build. Welcome to Unique Teach. Let's begin. Chapter 1: Messi's difficult childhood. Before the world called him the greatest footballer of all time, Lionel Messi was simply a little boy chasing a ball through the narrow streets of Rosario, Argentina. Born on June 24, 1987, into a humble middle-class family, Messi grew up surrounded by love, but not by wealth. His father, Jorge Messi, worked in a steel factory, while his mother, Celia Maracucitini, had a modest job in a local workshop. Life wasn't luxurious, but inside their small home lived a dream far bigger than anyone could imagine. From the moment Messi learned to walk, a football rarely left his feet. While other children played for fun, Messi played as if every touch meant something. The ball seemed to obey him naturally, almost as though it had become an extension of his body. His grandmother, Celia, was one of the first people to recognize that this quiet little boy possessed something extraordinary. She was the one who encouraged him to join football training and believed in him long before the rest of the world did. Years later, after every goal, Messi would point both fingers toward the sky, a tribute to the grandmother who had supported his dream before anyone else did. It became one of the most emotional celebrations in football history. At the age of 5, Messi joined Grandoli, a local club where his father coached. Even though he was much smaller than the other children, he embarrassed players years older than him with his incredible dribbling, balance, and vision. Coaches quickly realized that they were watching a child unlike any they had seen before. Soon, he moved to Newell's Old Boys, one of Argentina's most respected youth clubs. There, Messi became the star of a youth team that people nicknamed the Machine of '87 because they won almost every match they played. Defenders couldn't stop him, goalkeepers feared him, and spectators came just to watch. The tiny boy wearing the red and black shirt weaved through entire teams as if they weren't even there. But behind every smile was a challenge no one could see. While his talent continued to grow, his body didn't. Compared to other children his age, Messi remained unusually small. Every year, the gap became more noticeable. What seemed like a simple delay would soon become one of the biggest obstacles of his life. Doctors eventually diagnosed him with growth hormone deficiency, a condition that prevented his body from growing normally. The treatment was extremely expensive, far beyond what his family could afford, and suddenly, the future of Argentina's brightest young talent was filled with uncertainty. Many families would have given up. Many children would have accepted that fate had chosen a different path for them. But Lionel Messi wasn't like most children. Even as his dreams seemed to slip away, he never stopped believing. Every training session, every match, and every touch of the ball became his way of proving that greatness isn't measured by height, money, or physical strength. It's measured by determination. No one in Rosario could have imagined that this quiet boy, struggling with a medical condition and an uncertain future, would one day score hundreds of goals, win every major trophy in football, claim multiple Ballon d'Or awards, and lift the FIFA World Cup in front of billions of people around the globe. The journey of Lionel Messi had only just begun, and the greatest challenge of his life was still waiting for him. Chapter 2: Growth Hormone Deficiency. At first, Lionel Messi's parents believed he was simply a late bloomer. After all, every child grows at a different pace. But as the years passed, it became impossible to ignore the difference. While his teammates were getting taller and stronger, Messi remained unusually small for his age. The gap grew larger every season. Concerned, his family took him to specialists, hoping for reassuring news. Instead, the doctors delivered a diagnosis that would change the course of his life forever. Messi was suffering from growth hormone deficiency (GDAD), a rare medical condition that prevented his body from producing enough growth hormone. Without treatment, his dream of becoming a professional footballer could disappear before it had even begun. The only solution was daily hormone injections, a treatment that cost around $1,000 every month, an amount far beyond what his working-class family could afford. His father worked tirelessly in a steel factory, and his mother did everything she could to support the family, but the financial burden was simply overwhelming. Despite the heartbreaking reality, Messi refused to let the diagnosis define him. Every night, he endured painful injections that most children would have feared. While other kids were sleeping peacefully, Messi was fighting a battle that no one saw. Yet the following morning, he would be back on the football field with the same smile, the same determination, and the same dream burning inside him. Football became more than a game, it became his escape, his hope, and his reason to keep believing. His incredible performances at Newell's Old Boys convinced everyone who watched that his talent was extraordinary. However, talent alone couldn't solve his medical problem. The club tried to help, but couldn't continue paying for such an expensive treatment. His family searched desperately for support from larger clubs in Argentina, including River Plate, but although they admired his ability, they were unwilling to commit to covering his medical expenses. For a moment, it seemed as though one of football's greatest talents would be lost, not because he lacked skill, but because his family lacked money. It was one of the cruelest moments of Messi's childhood. Imagine being one of the most gifted young players in your country, yet watching your dream slowly slip away because of circumstances completely beyond your control. Many children would have accepted defeat. Many parents would have told their son to choose a different path. But the Messi family refused to surrender. They believed that somewhere in the world, someone would recognize not just the boy's illness, but his extraordinary potential. That belief eventually reached Spain, where one club would make a decision that changed football history forever. FC Barcelona saw what others failed to see. They didn't focus on Messi's height. They focused on his talent. They didn't see a medical condition. They saw a future legend. The club agreed to pay for his treatment if he joined their academy. giving the young Argentine an opportunity that would transform his life forever. Looking back today, it's almost impossible to imagine football without Lionel Messi. 8 Ballon d'Or awards, countless records, hundreds of unforgettable goals, and a FIFA World Cup title all became possible because one family refused to give up, one young boy refused to stop dreaming, and one football club chose to believe in talent instead of limitations. The next chapter of Messi's life would take him thousands of miles away from home, where an ordinary piece of paper, a simple napkin, would become one of the most famous contracts in the history of sports. Chapter 3 Barcelona took a chance. By the year 2000, Lionel Messi's future was hanging by a thread. His family had done everything they could to keep his dream alive, but the reality was becoming impossible to ignore. The treatment for his growth hormone deficiency was expensive. Argentine clubs were unwilling to cover the costs, and every passing month made the situation more difficult. It seemed that one of football's brightest young talents might disappear before the world even had the chance to discover him. Then, something extraordinary happened. A group of people connected to FC Barcelona heard about a young boy in Argentina who was unbelievably talented despite his small size. Curious, the club invited Messi to Spain for a trial. For the 11-year-old boy, it wasn't just another opportunity, it was the biggest moment of his life. Together with his father, he traveled thousands of kilometers from Rosario to Barcelona, carrying nothing but hope and the dream of proving himself. The moment Messi stepped onto the training pitch, he didn't need many words. His football spoke for him. Coaches watched in amazement as the tiny Argentine dribbled past older players with unbelievable confidence. His close control was flawless. His vision was beyond his years, and his understanding of the game looked almost impossible for a child. Within minutes, everyone realized they were watching a once-in-a-generation talent. Among those most impressed was Barcelona's sporting director, Carles Rexach. He feared another club might sign Messi before Barcelona made a decision. With no official contract available at that moment, Rexach did something that would become one of the most famous stories in football history. He grabbed a simple paper napkin and wrote an agreement stating that Barcelona would sign Lionel Messi. It wasn't a luxurious document or a formal legal contract. It was just a few handwritten words on a napkin, but those words changed football forever. Soon after, Messi and his family moved to Spain. Leaving Argentina wasn't easy. He had to say goodbye to relatives, friends, and the place he had always called home. At such a young age, he entered a completely different country, a new culture, and a language that felt unfamiliar. Homesickness often made him feel lonely, but every time he stepped onto the football field, those feelings disappeared. Football became his new home. Barcelona also fulfilled the promise that no Argentine club had been willing to make. They agreed to pay for Messi's medical treatment allowing him to continue receiving the hormone injections he desperately needed. Slowly but surely, his body began to grow stronger. More importantly, his confidence grew even faster. Messi entered La Masia, Barcelona's world-famous youth academy. Every day, he trained harder than almost anyone around him. He wasn't the loudest player, nor the strongest physically, but he let his performances speak for themselves. Coaches admired his humility, teammates respected his work ethic, and opponents struggled to stop him. Match after match, goal after goal, Messi proved that Barcelona had made one of the greatest decisions in the club's history. As the years passed, his progress became impossible to ignore. One youth team after another, Messi dominated every level he played. People inside the club began whispering the same thing. This quiet Argentine boy wasn't just another academy player. He could become the future of FC Barcelona. Then came October 16, 2004. At just 17 years old, Lionel Messi made his official first-team debut against Espanyol under coach Frank Rijkaard. It lasted only a few minutes, but history had quietly begun. Less than a year later, on May 1, 2005, Messi scored his first senior goal for Barcelona after a beautiful chipped assist from Ronaldinho. The Brazilian superstar celebrated wildly, lifting the young Messi onto his shoulders in front of the crowd. It was more than a celebration. It symbolized the passing of the torch from one football genius to another. From that moment onward, there was no turning back. The boy who had once worried about whether he would ever grow tall enough to play professional football had now become one of the brightest young stars in Europe. Barcelona hadn't simply signed another player. They had discovered the man who would go on to score 672 goals for the club, provide over 300 assists, win 35 major trophies, and become the greatest player in Barcelona's history. The gamble that began with a simple paper napkin had become one of the greatest success stories the world of sports has ever witnessed. Chapter 4: Years of Sacrifice and Discipline. Making it to Barcelona's first team was a dream come true, but for Lionel Messi, it was only the beginning of an even greater challenge. Reaching the top is difficult, but staying there is far more demanding. Every season brought new expectations, stronger opponents, and greater pressure. The football world had already begun calling him a wonder kid. But Messi wasn't interested in fame. He wanted greatness. And he knew greatness could only be achieved through relentless sacrifice and discipline. Unlike many young stars who became distracted by money, luxury, and celebrity life, Messi chose a different path. He stayed away from unnecessary attention and focused almost entirely on football. While cameras captured his magical performances on match day, very few people saw the countless hours he spent training behind the scenes. Every sprint, every pass, every free kick, and every finish was practiced over and over again until perfection became second nature. His success wasn't built on talent alone, it was built on thousands of invisible hours of hard work. When Pep Guardiola became Barcelona's manager in 2008, Messi's career reached another level. Guardiola saw something extraordinary in him and redesigned the team's attack around his unique abilities. He introduced Messi as a false nine, role that completely changed modern football. Instead of staying as a traditional striker, Messi dropped deeper into midfield, confusing defenders and creating space for his teammates. What looked like a simple tactical adjustment soon became one of the most revolutionary ideas in football history. Together with Xavi Hernandez and Andres Iniesta, Messi became the heart of one of the greatest teams ever assembled. Barcelona's beautiful style of football, known as tiki-taka, dominated Europe. Short passes, intelligent movement, and complete control of possession left opponents chasing shadows. Watching Barcelona wasn't just watching football, it felt like watching art in motion. The trophies soon followed. Barcelona won La Liga again and again, lifted the Copa del Rey, conquered the UEFA Champions League, claimed the Spanish Super Cup, the UEFA Super Cup, and the FIFA Club World Cup. In 2009, the club achieved something no Spanish team had ever done before they won the historic sextuple, capturing 6 major trophies in a single calendar year. At the center of every celebration stood Lionel Messi, but perhaps the most unbelievable chapter of his career came during the December 2011 season. Messi scored an astonishing 73 goals in all competitions, the highest number of goals ever scored by a player in a single European club season. It was a record many believed would never be broken. As if that wasn't enough, he scored 91 goals in the 2012 calendar year, surpassing Gerd Müller's long-standing record of 85 goals. Football fans around the world watched in disbelief as Messi found the net week after week, making the impossible look routine. Year after year, individual awards continued to arrive. He won the Ballon d'Or multiple times, proving he was the best player on the planet. He collected European Golden Boots as the continent's top scorer and broke countless records that experts once thought would stand forever. By the time his Barcelona career came to an end, Messi had played 778 matches, scored 672 goals, provided over 300 assists, and won 35 major trophies, making him the greatest player in the club's history. Yet what made Messi truly special wasn't just the numbers. It was his consistency. For more than 15 years, he performed at an extraordinary level while remaining humble, quiet, and focused. He rarely responded to critics with words. Instead, he answered every doubt in the only language he truly knew: football. Looking back, it's easy to admire the goals, the trophies, and the records. But behind every magical moment stood years of discipline, sacrifice, and an unwavering commitment to improvement. Lionel Messi didn't become a legend because he was gifted. He became a legend because he worked every single day, as if he still had everything to prove. However, while he had conquered almost every challenge in club football, one dream continued to haunt him. No matter how many trophies he lifted with Barcelona, millions of people still judged his career by one question: could he bring glory to Argentina? That question would lead Messi into the most painful chapter of his entire career. Chapter 5: Failure after failure with Argentina. For years, Lionel Messi had conquered everything at club level. He had become Barcelona's greatest player, won multiple UEFA Champions League titles, dominated La Liga, broken record after record, and collected Ballon d'Or awards one after another. To millions of fans, he was already the greatest footballer in the world. But there was one dream that remained painfully out of reach: winning something meaningful with Argentina. Representing your country is different from representing a club. Club football is about professional success, but international football is about identity, pride, and the hopes of an entire nation. Every time Messi wore Argentina's famous sky blue and white jersey, the expectations became almost unbearable. People didn't simply want him to be brilliant, they wanted him to become the next Diego Maradona and lead Argentina back to World Cup glory. His World Cup journey began in 2006, when he became one of the youngest players in the tournament. He showed flashes of extraordinary talent, but Argentina's campaign ended in the quarter-finals. 4 years later, in 2010, the team arrived in South Africa with Diego Maradona as head coach. Fans believed this would finally be Messi's tournament. Instead, Argentina suffered a humiliating 4-0 defeat against Germany, and once again, the dream slipped away. Then came 2014, perhaps the most emotional tournament of Messi's career. Game after game, Messi carried Argentina forward with unforgettable performances. He scored crucial goals, inspired his teammates, and led his nation all the way to the FIFA World Cup final in Brazil. After years of criticism, he stood just one match away from completing football's greatest achievement. But destiny had other plans. In extra time, Germany's Mario Götze scored the winning goal. Argentina lost 1-0. As the final whistle blew, Messi stood silently on the pitch, watching the World Cup trophy from only a few meters away. It was one of the most heartbreaking images in football history. Moments later, he walked past the trophy without touching it, knowing how close he had come to fulfilling a lifelong dream. The pain didn't end there. Just 1 year later, Argentina reached the 2015 Copa America final against Chile. After 120 exhausting minutes, the match went to penalties. Argentina lost. Another final. Another heartbreak. Surely things would improve the following year. Instead, football became even crueler. In 2016, Argentina once again reached the Copa America final. Once again, the opponent was Chile. Once again, the match ended in a penalty shootout. And this time, Messi himself missed his penalty. When Chile lifted the trophy for the second consecutive year, Messi collapsed in disappointment. The criticism became louder than ever. Some questioned his leadership. Others unfairly claimed that he could never become Argentina's greatest player because he hadn't won a major international trophy. Overwhelmed by years of pressure and repeated heartbreak, Messi made a shocking announcement. At just 29 years old, he retired from international football. "I've done all I can. It's painful not to be a champion." Those words broke the hearts of millions of Argentine fans. Around the world, football supporters couldn't believe that one of the greatest players in history was walking away from his country because of constant criticism and disappointment. But sometimes, failure doesn't end a story. Sometimes, it prepares you for the greatest comeback of your life. The people of Argentina begged Messi to return. His teammates wanted him back. The nation still believed that their captain had one last chapter left to write. After months away, Messi made the decision that would change everything. He returned, not because the criticism had disappeared, not because success was guaranteed, but because he refused to let failure become the final chapter of his story. Little did the world know, the greatest moment of Lionel Messi's career was still waiting for him. Chapter 6: Winning the World Cup. When Lionel Messi returned to the Argentina national team, he wasn't returning as a man chasing personal glory. He was returning because he still believed that his country deserved one more fight. The defeats still hurt. The criticism had never completely disappeared. But this time, something inside him had changed. Instead of allowing failure to define him, he chose to let it strengthen him. Years passed, and Messi continued carrying the hopes of an entire nation. Then, in 2021, after years of heartbreak, Argentina finally reached another Copa America final. Their opponent was Brazil. Inside the legendary Maracanã Stadium, the pressure couldn't have been greater. Every Argentine knew what this match meant, not just for the country, but for Messi himself. When Angel Di Maria scored the only goal of the match, Argentina held on until the final whistle. For the first time in his senior international career, Lionel Messi lifted a major trophy with his country. As his teammates rushed toward him in celebration, millions of football fans around the world felt emotional. It wasn't simply a championship, it was redemption. The tears on Messi's face told a story that words never could. Years of disappointment, criticism, and sacrifice had finally been rewarded. Just 1 year later, Argentina defeated Italy to win the Finalissima 2022, proving that their Copa America triumph wasn't a coincidence. Confidence spread throughout the squad, and for the first time in many years, Argentina entered the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar, believing they could become world champions. The tournament, however, began with a nightmare. Argentina suffered a shocking 2-1 defeat to Saudi Arabia in their opening match. Overnight, critics once again questioned Messi and his team. Many believed the dream was already over before it had truly begun. But champions are not remembered for how they start. They are remembered for how they respond. Messi refused to panic. Instead, he inspired his teammates with calmness and determination. Argentina defeated Mexico in a must-win match, then overcame Poland to finish top of their group. With every game, Messi seemed to grow stronger. His leadership became just as important as his incredible football. In the knockout stages, Argentina defeated Australia before facing the Netherlands in one of the most dramatic matches of the tournament. After a tense penalty shootout, Argentina advanced to the semi-finals, where they comfortably defeated Croatia. Once again, Messi delivered a masterclass, proving that even at 35 years old, he remained one of the greatest players on earth. Then came December 18, 2022, the FIFA World Cup final. Argentina versus France. Messi versus Kylian Mbappé. Billions of people watched as two generations collided on football's biggest stage. Messi scored early from the penalty spot and later added another goal in extra time. Yet France refused to surrender. Mbappé completed an unforgettable hat-trick, forcing the match into a penalty shootout after an incredible 3-3 draw. Everything now depended on courage. One kick at a time, one moment at a time. Argentina remained calm, France stumbled, and finally, the final penalty was saved. The stadium exploded. Players collapsed onto the pitch. Millions of Argentinians burst into tears. After more than 15 years of heartbreak, Lionel Messi had finally achieved the one dream that had escaped him for so long. He lifted the FIFA World Cup trophy high into the night sky of Qatar, completing one of the greatest stories in sports history. The little boy from Rosario, the child who couldn't afford his medical treatment, the teenager who left home chasing an impossible dream, had become a world champion. Messi finished the tournament with 7 goals and 3 assists, winning the Golden Ball as the tournament's best player for the second time in his career, something no player had ever achieved before. With the World Cup finally in his hands, The last missing piece of his legendary career had fallen into place. On that unforgettable night, football wasn't just celebrating a champion, it was celebrating perseverance. It was celebrating humility. It was celebrating a man who proved that even the greatest failures can become the foundation of the greatest victories. The journey was finally complete, but the lessons from Lionel Messi's life were only beginning. Chapter 7 to 7 Powerful Life Lessons Everyone Can Apply. Lionel Messi's story is far greater than football. Goals can be broken, records can be surpassed, trophies can eventually be won by someone else. But the lessons hidden inside his journey will continue inspiring people for generations. Whether you're an athlete, a student, an entrepreneur, or simply someone trying to build a better life, Messi's story offers timeless principles that anyone can follow. The first lesson is never let your limitations define your future. As a child, Messi was told that his body wasn't growing normally. Many people saw only his weakness. They saw his height, his illness, and his financial struggles. But Messi chose to focus on what he could control: his effort, his attitude, and his love for the game. Your biggest limitation is often not your circumstances. It's believing that those circumstances determine your destiny. The second lesson is talent means nothing without discipline. People often describe Messi as naturally gifted, but they rarely talk about the thousands of hours he spent training. When nobody was watching, every great performance was built on years of quiet preparation. Talent may open the first door, but discipline is what keeps that door open. Success isn't created on the day people applaud you. It's created during the countless days when nobody notices your hard work. The third lesson is failure is never the end unless you decide it is. Messi lost the 2014 World Cup final. He lost multiple Copa America finals. He missed a penalty in one of the biggest matches of his life. He retired from international football because the pain became too much to carry. Yet those painful moments didn't destroy him, they shaped him. Every setback became another reason to grow stronger. If Messi had accepted defeat in 2016, the world would never have witnessed his greatest triumph in 2022. The fourth lesson is stay humble. No matter how successful you become, despite winning 8 Ballon d'Or awards, multiple Champions League titles, and becoming one of the most famous athletes on earth, Messi has always remained remarkably humble. He rarely boasts about his achievements. He lets his performances speak louder than his words. True greatness doesn't need to announce itself, it naturally earns respect. The fifth lesson is trust the process instead of chasing quick results. Messi didn't become a legend overnight. From the streets of Rosario to La Masia, from the youth academy to Barcelona's first team, every step took patience. There were no shortcuts. In today's world, many people expect success within weeks or months. Messi reminds us that extraordinary achievements often require years of consistent effort. The sixth lesson is surround yourself with people who believe in you. Throughout his journey, Messi was never completely alone. His parents sacrificed everything for his dream. His grandmother encouraged him when he was still a little boy. Barcelona believed in him when other clubs turned him away. Coaches like Pep Guardiola helped him reach his full potential. No one achieves greatness entirely by themselves. The people around you can either limit your future or help you unlock it. The seventh and perhaps most powerful lesson is never stop believing in your dream. There were countless moments when giving up would have been easier. Financial struggles, medical challenges, painful defeats, harsh criticism, and unimaginable pressure could have ended Messi's journey many times. but he refused to quit. That unwavering belief eventually led him to lift the FIFA World Cup trophy, the one achievement that had escaped him for nearly 2 decades. Today, Lionel Messi's career is filled with numbers that seem almost impossible to comprehend. Hundreds of assists, more than 800 career goals, countless individual awards, 8 Ballon d'Or trophies, 6 European Golden Boots, dozens of team titles, a Copa America, a Finalissima, and finally, the FIFA World Cup. Yet when future generations remember Lionel Messi, they won't remember him only because of statistics. They'll remember the little boy who was told he was too small, the teenager who crossed an ocean chasing hope, the man who faced failure again and again, but refused to surrender, and the champion who proved that dreams don't come true because life is easy. Dreams come true because some people simply refuse to give up. Lionel Messi's story is more than the story of a football player. It's the story of a little boy who refused to let fear decide his future, a boy who was told his body wasn't strong enough, a family that couldn't afford the treatment he desperately needed, a teenager who left his home, his friends, and his country to chase a dream that most people believed was impossible, a man who experienced some of the greatest heartbreaks in football history. He lost finals, he missed penalties, he faced endless criticism, he even walked away from the national team because the pain became too much. But every time life knocked him down, he chose to stand back up, and that's exactly why the world remembers Lionel Messi today, not simply because he scored hundreds of goals or won countless trophies, but because he showed us that true champions are built through struggle, patience, and perseverance. His journey teaches us something that applies far beyond football. You don't have to be the strongest. You don't have to be the richest. You don't have to be the tallest. You don't even have to be the most talented. You simply have to refuse to give up. Because success doesn't belong to the people who never fail. Success belongs to the people who keep moving forward after every failure. One decision, one step, one day at a time. Perhaps that's the greatest legacy Lionel Messi leaves behind. Not the records, not the Ballon d'Or trophies, not even the FIFA World Cup. His greatest legacy is proving to millions of ordinary people that extraordinary dreams can come true when determination becomes stronger than doubt. So the next time you feel like giving up on your own dream, remember the little boy from Rosario. Remember the child who needed daily injections just to keep growing. Remember the teenager who signed a contract on a simple paper napkin. Remember the captain who waited almost 2 decades before finally lifting the World Cup. If Lionel Messi's story inspired you, inspire your own journey as well, because your story is still being written, and your greatest chapter may still be ahead of you. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Unique Teach, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another inspiring story. Thank you so much for watching. This is Unique Teach. Until next time, keep believing, keep learning, and never stop chasing your dreams.